did I hit her?
Bug.
Zach? Begin your role playing.
Inquisitor Antonius Caruso is Ordo Hereticus.
Oh, witch hunter.
Indeed, Your Honor.
Do you know anything else of him?
Very little. I know he is well traveled and he is I've not met him face to face. I've only worked with him. Did we decide this is my second mission because I've worked with Nihilis once before.
Mm-hmm.
This is only my second mission or Inquisition.
Inquisitorial mission?
This is only my second mission. This is only my second mission under him.
Good.
I've only recently joined the Inquisition, as I have likewise only very recently joined the priesthood.
Ah. Interesting. So you don't know very much of him at all?
Very little.
Never met him?
No, ma'am.
Have you communicated with him at all?
Mostly through my, what I call him, a supervisor,
Or arbitrator?
Mostly through my arbitrator, Nihilis. I don't believe I've had very much direct communication with him at all.
Mercutio, you were saying that that you believe that he was the one who fired at you within the Ecclesiarchy Palace. And he replies to her, "Yes, my lady, I've known that he's been on the planet for some time, but it wasn't until then that I believe that he is a part of what's going on here. At least not entirely. I still don't know if he's working under his own agency or following orders of another. But I feel like I could defeat him, and I think that we should take that chance instead of exterminating the entirety of the planet." What's his name? Cade, stands up and openly disagrees with Mercutio, stating that the lives of a few 100,000, even millions, are not worth the lives of everyone in the sector, or that of the Imperium. The billions that would be lost if they made their way to Barasvine or Scintilla. And the errant listens to this thoughtfully before turning back to you. "Is there anything else you can tell us about what's going on down there?"
You don't mind if I pause the game itself, because Tybalt's not just going to sit there for like 7 minutes and be like, "No." But I'm trying to think of something of note to what they're talking about, because, I came to investigate small psyker phenomena, and there were riots, but as far as Tybalt is aware, those riots don't mean a whole lot. I mean, I'll probably bring them up, but they're not like...
Life or death?
Yeah, to me they're not exceedingly pertinent information. It's just information to be disclosed, but I'm trying to think of anything of note has happened planet-side other than the riots or anything that Mercutio would have already told them, such as taking down Bernadette and Signwolf, and I'm sure he's probably also mentioned the riots, but they probably also like to get verification.
First-hand account?
Yeah. Before I tell you anything else, might I inquire what you saw when you entered my mind, as I shamefully blacked out during it, and I'm not sure what I would be repeating.
We simply looked through your mind to validate that below the Asylum of St. Vera there is in fact at least a very small demonic incursion. But after seeing what we saw in your mind, it appears that if they are able to defeat an entire legion of Sororitas, that it must be a much more serious threat than even Mercutio relayed to us. We looked upon your discussions with a few of your allies, and all came to a consensus that the threat is real and that it is great to the system.
And I could tell from Mercutio's memories that you've seen the destruction of the Ecclesiarchy Palace and know of the attack there. Had you been made... If I were to say privy, would that be... I don't ever hear that in like a formal context.
Doesn't matter. That's fine.
Anyways, had you been made privy to the multiple riots that took place for seemingly no reason?
Riots, you say?
Following sermons by head of the Holy Temple of St. Vero, Signwolf, and Bernardin, the head of the Ecclesiarchy Palace, people...
The Ecclesiarchy.
Oh, just the Ecclesiarchy? Okay. I wasn't sure if he was actually head of the Ecclesiarchy or the palace itself.
Well, he's head of the Ecclesiarchy, which rules from the palace.
Got it. People took to the streets and rioted, and there were several deaths, and after interrogating or investigating people who had been in the riots, most people could not account for why they had done the riots, and those who could and were not shameful of it were proud but not sure what they were proud of. They all seemed without cause and came as quickly as they ended.
Is that it?
Well, Tybalt's kind of thinking first, so. On top of that, there was an assault on the estate in which I was staying, which I don't know if it could be considered a riot as much as an attack by a strike force, but they were very heavily armed. Some of them with... Did they have bolt cannons, or heavy bolters, or was it just...
There were bolt weapons, you don't know of what type.
Oh, okay, we just know there were bolt weapons. Were there crack grenades? Crack grenades aren't hard to get hands on, but they're still heavy weaponry. The assailants, they used meltas too, right? Or was it plasma?
There were a couple of plasmas.
There were a couple of plasma.
The first one.
Alright. The assailants, of which there were, we said like at least 6, right?
Of the leaders? Yeah.
There were at least 6 assailants armed with bolt weapons, plasma weapons, and crack grenades. Too highly armed for citizens of a pleasure world. Though, as Mercutio has shown, it's not necessarily difficult to get a heavily armed person planet-side.
And, what of this Talon symbol that keeps appearing in your mind?
Talon symbol?
Yes, there appears to be a talon clutching a disc of some sort.
I have no recollection of seeing such things.
She turns to Mercutio. Reaper, do you have any ideas of what this might be about? And he, in turn, turns to Natalia, who gets up and begins attempting to speak to address the entire room.
The entire room minus Demetrius.
Yeah, minus Demetrius.
That'll make it easier.
Yeah, of course.
It's only like 50 people instead of 53.
My lady, Magosarent, I believe that the symbol represents that of Komos, the Tyrant Star.
Tybalt kind of glances side. I mean, he's not like, what? But he's semi-noticeably shocked.
The symbolism I noted
Or
was...
alarmed.
Yeah. I've noted the symbolism from my childhood, which, as Mercutio was kind enough to leave out, was from when my parents were of the astral blades, and the small amount of chatter in the room kind of hushes at that. I believe that Inquisitor Antonius Carrizo is either working in association with or directly against the Tyrantine Cabal on Scintilla, on Scintilla's moon, and I believe they must be notified immediately, and that this potential threat is far larger than the fall of the sector. And she sits back down very hurriedly. A hush falls over the room as everyone sits to think. There is some bickering in the background, and Cade sits up again. Then we must destroy the planet. Corella is still thinking. Mercutio also is mumbling with Natalia. Coretta just seems to be kind of looking over at you and thinking to herself. As Cade begins to rally more people to his side.
Is Tybalt supposed to speak up? Because
He could.
He could in the silence, but he is like the lowliest person there and
Doesn't
has
matter.
very little to contribute other than, how about we don't?
Good.
I have faith in Mercutio.
I think he can do things.
I believe in Santa Christ. Yeah, fine. Nobody's gonna join me in the chant. So,
You could also just speak to Natalia and Mercutio about the symbols, whatever you want to talk about.
Alright, so I am going to turn to both of them and in a hushed whisper that the entire room can pretty much hear. Except not really, because
30 meters is pretty far.
30 meters is pretty far, and you said they are murmuring amongst themselves, so I would be one of many to do so, but what Talon symbol is everyone referring to? I've seen no such thing.
It appears in your memories, off in the corner. I've seen it as well, and I've noted a few other people. I've seen this symbol around Wrath.
I truly don't mean to boast, but I do have a pretty good memory. I have not seen that symbol anywhere.
You may have never perceived seeing it, but your keen mind recorded it.
I can see it without having seen it.
Think of it as having seen it out of your peripheral vision, and your mind didn't immediately focus on it, and so you just walked past it. But it is still there in your mind. We saw it, even though you weren't focusing on it.
What does it mean?
I don't know. All I know is that it is a very arcane and old symbol. That there is a conclave off of one of the moons of Scintilla that has been researching it and its potential meaning and threat to the Imperium.
By the way, is it Cormus or Comus?
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 Comos?
Comos?
Even though
K-O-M-O-S.
it's Komus.
But it's Comos.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Dark Heresy.
Or you can say Comos. I don't really care.
I don't give a shit. Tybalt's just gonna call it the Tyrant Star. He
Okay.
doesn't speak High Gothic.
Good.
How vibrate. Anyways.
Good.
And Natalia, you mentioned the Tyrant Star. You can't possibly be serious.
Yes, that's what the symbol represents. At least if my memory serves.
It would explain the rioting, but I think it's to jump to such a drastic conclusion.
Well, to your knowledge, it wouldn't explain the rioting, because you,
Oh,
if anything, you only know of the name, the Tyrant Star in Comus.
oh,
You have no idea what it does.
I read a lot from the
Yeah.
core rule book, so I don't know.
Almost nobody knows that
almost
much
nobody
about
knows. Okay, so
it. Like, the Tyrantine Cabal would barely be able to put that together.
okay, so what would Tybalt know?
Basically just the name, and that it's
The
scary.
name and bad
Yeah.
bad touch.
Yeah. The name and bad touch.
So that's quite the conclusion to jump to. If not frightening and horrifying.
After the kind of long silence, Tech Priest Metalis, what was your investigation on Reth for?
Sorry, sister takes the what's on?
What was your investigation on Reth for? Your
Was that
initial.
Coretta?
Yeah.
Okay. We were summoned by Canicus Levine to investigate minor psyker phenomena occurring around the asylum. Nothing on this scale.
May I speak with you three alone? And she turns. Trinity, we will retire to my quarters. Please see that everyone else is, everyone of import is made aware of what was discovered here today. Cade, I will speak with you in person later. We will discuss our battle plans. But I must remind you that this is my sector, and you will follow my instruction. And she gets off of her nice, glorious throne and proceeds to walk out the grand chamber doors. Mercutio gets up, and as do you and Natalia, to follow a few moments after that. You guys all begin making your way a little
Downtown.
distance behind her.
I said downtown.
Towards her quarters. Is there anything you would like to discuss before going in there?
We're not following her, right? I'm following Mercutio, and she's like way the fuck ahead of us. Like,
Yeah.
She's probably already there.
Well, she's a good distance ahead of you, to the point where you can't see her, but you're following Mercutio, who apparently knows where to go.
I mostly already had my discussion with Mercutio and Natalia. I discussed how Komos is. By the way, she did call it Komos the Tyrant Star, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, because as I mentioned, Tybalt does not speak High Gothic, so. I mean, so with something like Komos, I might know. But discussed that and how Tybalt thinks it's kind of drastic. Not really anything else I can think of that I need to talk to them about, although while I'm with Coretta and Mercutio, I'll ask them about the arcane symbols on the paper. I'll ask them if they saw them and recognized them. I'll mention that they were also the ones on the helmet, but I don't need to mention that to them right now.
When you're with Coretta, or do you mean Natalia? Mercutio?
All three of them.
Okay. So at some point in the near future?
At some point in the near future. Because Natalia, not so much. I usually don't lump her in the same category as Master Assassin, super fucking high ranking tech priest. So.
Okay.
But I assume she's, seeing as she knows about the Talon, I assume she might be knowledgeable in the symbols, but Tybalt does not hold her in anywhere near the same regards as he holds Coretta.
Makes sense.
He doesn't necessarily hold Mercutio in high regards, but he just assumes he's worldly and knows a lot of shit. What's going on? Stream down?
No. Alright, so you guys don't really make much small talk or anything. You mostly just...
make small talk with Mercutio.
Well, I mean, or Natalia.
Yeah.
You all three just walk in silence through the large ship, making your way up from the kind of situational room, or the command room, I guess, to one of the lavish quarters. Oddly lavish, as you note, for a tech priest. As you enter, you see a very large amount of red and gold gilded tapestries and other quite fine things lying around. Granted, there are a large amount of trinkets in her room and other such novelties, but it seems more homely than a tech priest would normally keep their quarters. As you enter the room fully, Mercutio closes the door behind you and locks it. Moments later, Coretta comes out from behind a partition in her room, out of her tech armor, and wearing simply the robes of the priesthood.
So she took her power armor off?
Yes, she removed her power armor.
So that was just for show for the...
symbol of power and armor. But yes, as she approaches you, Mercutio takes her hand and greets her as, someone would greet a lady of her stature properly. Just kind of bowing to it.
Has anyone made her rank apparent? I don't recall.
Yes, they've referred to her as Magos Errant before.
Okay.
In the room. Coretta, what was it that you wanted to talk to us about? And you are shocked and almost appalled that he would use her given name instead of referring to her by her title bestowed upon her by the priesthood. But again, you make no immediate... You right over there?
I'm getting multiple texts from my sister, so...
Good.
And, 2 from Brittany, but...
You need to take a break?
No,
Okay.
we're good. We're good.
Okay.
I told Mrs. fuck off. So... I'm shocked and appalled because he used her given name as opposed to the rank given by the priesthood, but I'm not saying anything, so...
Because Master Assassin.
Well, because Master Assassin and because I'm not speaking out of turn, and they're greeting each other, so you may continue.
If what you've all said is true, then I believe we have a very real
Say
threat.
it with the monocle.
I don't know why she would be wearing the monocle.
I don't know, you're playing with it, so you might as well.
If what you say is true, then I believe there is a very real threat to the Imperium at large, and we must come to the fastest and most astute decision we can.
I took her 10% more seriously.
Good. I'm glad. Tybalt, is there anything else that you've neglected to tell us about the Inquisitor or your quest? Anything that you have found that might lead us to believe why the Inquisitor decided to come here for this?
I found nothing of note to trace it back to my Inquisitor, but I do have a few personal inquiries to make upon you, one of which may be pertinent to the case at hand, the other possibly the case at large, by association.
Very well.
With Antonius.
What are they?
The first of which, when you were in my mind, did you possibly see the papers I was rummaging through this morning?
Very briefly, yes.
Did you take note, perhaps, of any of the symbols that were on a few of the pages? Very arcane. I've never seen them before. Of not just poor penmanship or perhaps high Gothic, but an arcane or archaic language.
She closes her eyes
much like the symbols found on the helmet Sir Mercutio was wearing as you rummaged his mind.
She closes her eyes for a moment, and then her eyes dawn with realization as they open again. Ah, yes. Yes, but why would he be writing in such an old language? I do not know what these symbols that he wrote mean. The ones that we had for the helmet that Mercutio was wearing are the symbols of the hexagrammic wards to protect us from chaos, but these seem twisted and more jagged than those symbols. But they are obviously of the same lineage.
Do we of the priesthood have access to literature with which to study these symbols?
None come to my knowledge. I feel we would need to speak with the adepts at Administratum, or perhaps the Tyrantine Cabal themselves would have literature on this. It seems that the Ordo Malus would be the best place to go.
Surely someone as prestigious and esteemed as yourself, Magus Aaron, would have access to, or a means to further study this?
Yes, I will put a team of researchers on this immediately.
Thank you. That puts my mind at ease. I feel it very important to this investigation. The second inquiry I have is a much more personal one, but with the recent revelation... Gotcha, fucking dorky. With the recent revelation of Inquisitor Caruso's possible heresy...
Treachery?
Treachery.
Would be heresy.
It would be, but
Well, throw words about it.
Yeah. He recently gave me a trinket of sorts. I have thus far only been able to study it a few hours, but have been completely unable as to discern its place of origin or its purpose. I know very little about it, but I've brought it with me, and I was hoping possibly one of the three of you might recognize it. So, Tybalt pulls out the trinket.
And you show it to them.
I found that at least one piece depressed and heated up that particular part of it, but I've been completely unable to recreate.
Natalia almost zealously snatches it from your hands and begins looking all over it, studying it at every angle. Coretta and Mercutio look on from their places, moving in slightly closer to observe as well. After a few minutes,
Tybalt's just going to add, as they're doing that, Caruso said he found it in his travels, but little else information was given beyond that.
After a few minutes of toying with it, it was gold and black, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Natalia depresses a few of the stones, and the gold turns to a bright and shimmering red for a moment before turning
Both the
back
gold
into
and black turned red?
just the gold.
Oh, just the gold.
Just for a moment, and then returns back to its gold and black exterior, and she hands it back to you. Well, that's definitely demonic in origin, but I don't know what it was for, or what it does exactly.
So I've been given a demonic artifact by my Inquisitor?
Yes, it's very odd.
Would any of you know whether or not it poses an immediate threat, or may it be carried on my person?
I don't believe it would pose an immediate threat. It seems that it needs to be activated. Though I have no idea what triggers its activation, nor what will happen once it is activated.
So none of you are familiar with this technology?
Natalia looks around, and both Mercutio and Coretta shake their head. I'm afraid not. I've seen similar artifacts to this, but nothing quite like this.
Another dead end, I'm afraid. Another dead end, I'm afraid, then. So Tybalt just puts it back in his pocket. That's all he had.
Good.
Just do this until something happens.
I'm just gonna lean back and wait until Richard says something.
Pretty much, you're given the information.
Noble gases. Is there anything else that you want to talk to them about at all?
I asked them about Komos. I've told them pretty much everything I know. I've asked them about the symbols, which they recognize but don't understand. I've shown them the trinket, which they recognize but don't understand.
Unless Coretta wants to pull me aside and tell me something so I can fangirl over meeting someone of such high position in the
So no, you don't really have
Mechanicus.
anything.
I have nothing to contribute.
Coretta turns to you, Have you learned anything about the Psyker acquisitions in your quest yet?
Just talking about the people in the group.
No? Just talking about your mission objective.
Psyker acquisitions?
Yes, the let's see, how do I sum this up? Your mission was initially basically go to Vero and figure out what's causing the Psyker tearings and why it is believed by the Inquisition, or at least Antonius Carrizo, that there are Psykers being acquired by Saint Vero. Also, oh yeah, you weren't here for that day. I don't, Frawl or Nihilis has told you about when they were attacked by the Fury in Saint Vero when they went into Ophelia's room, and they both shared a vision of thousands of Psykers underneath the floor below them as balls of light, and then that night, we need to fucking watch this shit. But yeah, then that night, Frawl and Nihilis had a vision where all of the thousands of Psykers below Vero poured their energy into him.
Into Frawl?
Into Frawl. And then he exploded, creating, like, basically a warp storm that destroyed the planet.
And they told me about this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and recount that then.
No, go ahead and just recount that.
Alright, so I am giving a... Is this just a second-hand account?
Yeah.
Because I was told by the people it happened to. So I'm giving a second-hand account of something that I have to paraphrase. Based on you paraphrasing it to me, rather than them telling me. So...
Basically, you're just going to tell them what I just told you.
Yeah, but I was going to try and semi-roleplay a Tybalt, because if it was just, by the way, you know this, oh, well, I tell them that. You're like, oh, okay, well, they say this. I'm like, okay, what else do I know? I'm like, you know this. I'm like, well, I tell them that too. Then we could have just skipped today, and you could have just said, Tybalt learned a lot of stuff today.
Good.
So.
Yeah, roleplay.
Trying to think.
Roleplay. Stop being a bitch. Roleplay. Roleplay game.
Roleplay game. Fuck this.
Look, there's not going to be a massive resolution of you telling her this, so if you don't
No,
want
I
to play it,
didn't.
it's fine.
Alright, well, Tybalt awkwardly recounts
Okay.
a very brief paraphrased version that included the important points of they went to her room, shared a vision and of thousands of Psykers beneath the asylum, and that night Frawl had a vision or dream of all of them pouring their psychic energy into him, causing him to explode and create a warp storm which tore the planet asunder.
Very good. After you recount that, you notice Natalia's eyes widen a bit at the mention of Frawl and what happens. Mercutio and Coretta look at you very grimly as you recount this tale. So then, you believe that and she turns to Mercutio, you believe we should strike at the heart and kill the Inquisitor before he can bring about whatever it is he's planning? And Mercutio agrees and looks at you for approval or dismissal.
I approve of his decision, but I believe we should make haste, as the lives of millions...
Possibly billions.
Well, I was going to say, while the lives of millions are important and we should not condemn them all to stop this, if this fails, the lives of billions outweigh the lives of millions.
Very well. When should we? How long do you need to prepare?
Oh, me?
Yes.
I'm going in with a fucking bolt pistol. Like, I need a day to heal up, and I need lots of backup. So, how long does it take you to prepare?
Mercutio notes, I'm ready to go at a moment's notice. However, I believe it would be in our best interest to wait for the Acolyte team sent by the Inquisitor to assist us as they can, or at least be near enough around that they cannot damage our plans any.
You may have to wait a few days, as they were heavily injured in our last
Assault
well,
operation.
Tybalt's gonna try and be a little playful with it, but
A lot of sororitas died.
yeah, most of our group got fucked. So it's a miracle Thrall isn't dead.
It's always a miracle for all, isn't it?
It's true, it is. To be fair, he's at least got 10 wounds on him.
Doesn't
Although,
help.
Yeah, no, it doesn't help. But Leith has fucking like 7 armor, or she has like 3 armor points plus 4 toughness. So she can still take it. Even 2 wounds down, she can take hits better than Thrall can. So yeah, it is a miracle that Thrall didn't die. Yeah, them dead sororitas. Anyways, so after our latest assault, they were left pretty heavily wounded, and while the medical facility at the Levine estate is nice, to put it lightly, it may still take a few days to recover from those injuries. Only one member of the team is currently battle ready, and myself and is it Stubber? Me and Stubber are the 2 who are lightly injured, right?
And you and Garvel are the 2 that are lightly injured.
No, Garvel's uninjured.
Well, Garvel only had fatigue, but yes, you and Stubber were the least injured of the people.
Well, Stubber was.
I think.
Stubber. How many wounds does Stubber have? 11?
Stubber was technically heavily wounded, and you were lightly wounded.
I was lightly. Okay. Well, my point was just everyone else is in critical condition.
Yeah, everyone else is like fuck.
Yeah. I was just trying to get across the point that only one member of the team is battle ready.
It's good to go.
And myself and one other will be ready after a day. The others may take as much as 3 or 4 days. So I'm going to go ahead and relay that.
Okay. After you relay that information,
Instead of repeating myself.
Mercutio volunteers himself and Natalia to watch over the Levine estate to ensure that your recovery goes unhindered. Coretta questions him about why he feels it necessary to do that, and he brings up that a few weeks ago, Antonius Carrizo snuck into the medical ward of the Levine estate and injected Thrall with something. And
The revelations pile up.
if that happens again, he wants to be in a position to apprehend him and possibly end it faster. After this, the Lady Magos decides to discuss the specifics of the battle plan with Mercutio in private, and waves you and Natalia out of the room.
I had something I wanted to ask, and it completely slipped my mind. I don't mean like, well, now I remember to ask it. I mean, I don't remember what I wanted to ask.
What?
So, walking out of the room, that'll be cool.
Yes, you guys walk out of the room, and Mercutio tells Natalia to take you back planet side and to watch over the Levine estate until he returns. She agrees, and you guys make your way back onto your shuttle. Is there anything that you want to do, say, ask before you guys leave and go back? Now that I've given you guys like a billion more questions and a couple of answers, I'm like lost.
Yeah. Hopefully it's better. But anyway.
Better ending.
Yeah.
Promise that. There's no Nihilis
Well,
woke
man,
up and it was all a dream.
That is a pretty heavy promise you have to make. And keep.
None of this happened. Spoilers if no one watched Lost.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Like I care. Spoil a show that ended like 5 years ago. Before they kicked me out of the room,
Okay.
what I wanted to ask was, how much of this do I need to keep from, or how much of this do you wish me to relay to my team? The revelation that Antonius Caruso may be actively working against us is probably not something I should just throw onto them at this point in time. But of the rest of the information, how much, at the very least, Nihilis, as my acting arbitrator, will have questions about what we discussed here today. How much should he know, and how much should I tell him cannot be revealed to the rest of the team?
Nihilis trusted you, so I believe that we should give him the benefit of the doubt, says Coretta. Mercutio agrees, stating that you can tell the farm boy anything because he trusts him. But the rest of the group he leaves to your discretion, who can handle the secret and who may or may not be trustable,
So
especially due to the.
I'm just gonna pause and pop out of character here for a moment. So, you want Tybalt to be able to tell Nihilis everything we learned today, and then tell him it is up to his discretion how much the team learns.
No, it's up to your discretion.
It's up to my yeah, but I'm telling him everything.
I know.
So essentially, they're gonna learn everything we talked about today, right?
You have the ability to. You don't have to. It's
I
really
didn't
up
say
to
I was
you.
going to.
Yeah, it's really up to you how much and how little you're going to tell him.
Oh, how much I'm telling Nihilis?
Yeah, but he
Good.
says that Mercutio and
Trust.
Coretta both trust him enough to be like, you can tell him anything. The rest of the team, we'll leave that up to you, but we're not that sure about them. Especially as Mercutio says, I believe you had some new members join you that Carrizo requisition.
I haven't met either of them outside of the battlefield.
Just make sure that anyone you give this information to is someone you trust, and that you are willing to, or that you would trust with your life, he says and grins at you.
Alright, so it's pretty much just Nihilis at this point. Because I specifically have the bond with Zane right now that I don't trust him based on his background. So.
Anyways. So then you guys leave the room and good stuff.
Just trying to run through the team real quick because we have some of the people who are like yes and then no. So, Dr. Shanks doesn't exist. Ophelia, definitely my enemy at this point in time.
Nah, we're bros.
Nihilis, Garvel, Frawl, Stubber, and Leaf. So I currently... I don't know if I counted 5 and then tucked my thumb away, or if I counted 4 and my thumb's been tucked the whole time. Garvel, Nihilis, Frawl, and Stubber. So it's 5 and I tucked my thumb. Like an idiot. Okay. So there are 5 people. 2 of them are new additions. I know nothing about them, so I don't trust them. Frawl... I don't have any reason not to trust him. But seeing how apprehensive Talia is around him and how a lot of this centers around Psychers is probably for the best that I've done. So Nihilis is going to be the only person I tell.
Okay.
And he's going to get a condensed and slightly redacted version of
Good.
the information that I've been given.
Nice excellent.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to go back planetside and be like, guys, guess what? You're working for a heretic. Isn't that great? Thrall, they're gonna call the black ships. They know about you now. And that you were working for a heretic.
Have fun
Isn't
being-
that exciting?
They wouldn't call the black ships.
I
for
know
that.
you.
They wouldn't call
The
the
whole planet is dead.
black. We're part of that.
They won't let us out alive.
Bless it.
Sorry, Tybalt gets really excited when everything he knows and loves is threatened.
All right, so
Like
you
life.
you make landfall and semi part ways with Natalia, meaning that she stayed behind to shut the ship down while you went on ahead, and then she stalked you the rest of the way,
Good.
as is her right,
So should I just like slow my pace by like 2 steps?
just to annoy her.
Just so she either A, has to continue stalking me very slowly, or B, she'll catch up to me.
She stalks you from the front.
She's walking backwards. She's
Yeah.
moonwalking back to the Levine estate.
Yes.
Cannon?
Anyways. Yes, you make your way back to the Levine estate.
Billie Jean, not mine. Here.
Good.
Totally the moonwalk song, by the way.
And, yeah. You go to contact Nihilis and tell him all about this stuff, and then you go to bed.
Woo!
'Cause it's late at night now.
Yeah.
Spent all day talking to people.
Well, I spent a fucking hour walking down that corridor to get to the room, and I assume it was an hour back. There's at least 2 hours walking today.
Your legs hurt.
So. Alright.
And that's the end of this episode.
Woo!
This half episode.
In which we learned something.
In which we learned all of the things. And
Learned a
Nihilis
little bit
doesn't
about-
get to know any of them.
Yeah, we learned a little bit about the Inquisition, and I think we learned a lot about ourselves.
We learned a lot about each other. But mostly, nothing happened. See you guys next time.
This has been Reading Room.
This has been Dark Heresy. Vision of the Tyrant Star.
We trying to fucking NPR?
Next week we'll have
Thank you.
Roger Sherman.
Thank you, Richard. I've been honored to be on your program.
Of course, though.